Welcome back to Boys in the Zone. I am your host, EJ Savage, and today we have a few different things on our agenda. NFC positional rankings as far as the top three teams in the NFC: Eagles, Cowboys, 49ers, best camp battles to be on the lookout for, and tweets worth discussing. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let me go ahead and pull up this tier maker. All right, so we got quarterback number one. So this one really comes down to the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Do you go off last year? Hurts had a great season. I don't think that that's bad to say as a Cowboys fan. I think that that's perfectly fine to say. Actually, he had a great year. He was in that MVP discussion. Dak was in the MVP discussion the year prior in 2021. So, um, who do you go with? Do you go with the guy who's had the better career, or do you go with the guy that's had the better last season? Um, Giving the benefit of the doubt to Jalen Hurts for making the improvements and really changing how he sees the game, making those throws that we were all worrisome of the year prior. He fixed a lot of different things in his game. I am going to go a little bit with the bias route here, though, because Dak, you think about Dak, one, he's getting more trust put into him from Mike McCarthy, from Brian Schottenheimer. Secondly, they're taking out the plays that Dak does not like, and they're just completely throwing him to the wayside. They're allowing him to really, really hone in on the plays that he does like and the things that he does well. Not only that, but he's going to go to a more West Coast style offense, which is quick hitting plays, things that get your guys in rhythm, and then just I just think that everything is working in the right direction for Dak for the upcoming year versus things working kind of opposite for Jalen Hurts. Not to say that Jalen Hurts is going to regress. Not to say that Jalen Hurts isn't a good quarterback, because I really think that they're a lot more similar than people want to lead on. But um, you're talking about losing your offensive coordinator for Jalen Hurts, and yes, I know Eagles fans. Dak is losing his offensive coordinator, but at the same time, you look at the just the way that offense was ran last year. It was completely oriented towards Jalen's skill set, and allowed him to really work with what was easy for him. And what worked was those QB sneaks, the slant routes, the deep shots over the top. They had so much as far as weapons go. I mean, you're talking Dallas Goddard. You're talking about. I won't even go into it because we're going to go into it here later. So, for right now, I am going to put Dak as my number one quarterback. I'm going to throw Jalen at two and Brock Purdy at three. Brock Purdy, whoever is starting for them, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, doesn't really matter. Now, fullback is a completely different discussion. Truthfully, I don't know that the Eagles have a fullback on their roster that's a true fullback. So, based on that, I think this falls in pretty easily as the Niners with number one, Kyle Juszczyk. They probably had the best fullback in all of the NFL right now. Then we'll go with Dallas for Hunter Lepke. Who knows if he makes the team, but for now, this is what we're going to go with. And then the Eagles. Running back. Now, this is where things get dicey because Tony Pollard's coming off the injury. The Niners have Christian McCaffrey, always been an injured guy. We'll see if he continues to stay healthy. With that being said, Kyle Shanahan is one of those coaches that know how to scheme up players, and I just think that the with what we saw last year, and now he's going to have a full off season. I just see that Shanahan's going to really scheme up some great plays specifically for Christian McCaffrey. So I am going to put the 49ers at number one. Now with the Eagles. So let's check out the Eagles depth chart right now. It's Swift, Rashad Penny, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott. Now, if I'm taking out the homerism, because I do think that Tony Pollard is better than those backs on the roster currently, but if I'm looking at the guys behind Tony Pollard, you're talking about Ronald Jones, you're talking about Malik Davis, and then you're talking about Deuce Vaughn. So versus the Eagles depth chart, which is DeAndre Swift, a really good running back. Rashad Penny, really good running back. Neither can stay necessarily healthy. Kenneth Gainwell, a nice change of pace back, and then Boston Scott, a little of the same. So, um, I am gonna go ahead and give the Eagles the nod over the Cowboys in the running back department currently. If I was ranking starters, it would be Niners, Cowboys, Eagles, but I'm ranking the entire group together. So next we're gonna go to tight ends. So tight ends, you're talking about two super good, like top five tight ends with George Kittle and Dallas Goedert for the Eagles. So I think that this one falls in really easily to be George Kittle at number one. I just think that his blocking is on another level compared to the other guys in the league. And yeah, just the Cowboys haven't proven anything as far as the tight ends go yet. I think that all of their tight ends combined have less than 1,000 yards in the NFL. Now, wide receiver, this is where the argument really comes from. So for the Cowboys, your top four are CD, Gallup, Cooks, and then Jalen Tolbert. For the Eagles, just to make sure I got their fourth correct, you got Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Quez Watkins, and then uh, probably Devin Allen. I'd probably say is their fourth, um, or Zacchaeus. I think he used to play for the Saints, if I remember. So yeah, you got a super solid three right there. Quez Watkins, obviously a little bit more of a burner up the seam. Then you got Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, and then Ray McLeod. That's a really solid four. Um, Now, weighing this how I would weigh this, I think that um, CD and AJ Brown are washes for me. Cooks versus Devontae Smith. Now, if you're saying Cooks 1 year, I'm taking Cooks over Devontae Smith. Now, if you're saying you got him on my team for the next 5 year, I'm taking Devontae Smith. Then Gallup versus Quez, I'm taking Gallup. So I would put the Cowboys above the Eagles, but I'm not gonna argue with an Eagles fan that says you can't do that. The Eagles have a better 1-2. I actually would probably agree that the better 1-2 is AJ and Devontae Smith. With that being said, I mean you're talking about a guy that has what six 1,000 yard receiving seasons in Brandon Cooks, and then you're talking about CD Lamb, who's came in the league. This is going to be his fourth year, and I think that he's um, yeah, three 1,000 yards or total yards. So yeah, the first year he didn't have quite 1,000s. The last two he has 100 catches plus last year. I mean, the guy he's proven. Whether you think that he plays slot only, he's a great player, and that whole argument has really just left me a sour taste in my mouth because whether he burns you in the slot or whether he burns you outside, it really doesn't matter. A touchdown is 6 points either way, and a catch is a catch. So cry about it somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and put the Cowboys number one. I think the Eagles are a clear second. Yes, Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuels are very good. Niners fans, I understand that they're very good. My thing is, Debo injured a little bit last year. Didn't have that same season as he did in 2021. Brandon Ayuk turned it up a notch. I want to see both of them at their peaks, at their best. So I mean, we've seen with the Cowboys, CD he's turned it on. We've seen Dak operate with two great wide receivers, Amari Cooper, CD Lamb, even Gallup thrown in there. We've seen that. We've seen Devontae Smith and AJ Brown last year do it. So I want to see both of your guys, your top two guys, um, go in and show out. O line, I think that this is very clear. The Eagles have to be number one as far as O lines go. They just got some studs: Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Jason Kelsey. You throw in Landon Dickerson in there, and yeah, it's just a super really talented offensive line. But not only are they talented, but they work. They go in there, they do their jobs, and they're not afraid to hit you in the mouth. So, Eagles clearly number one as far as offensive line goes. Dallas is going to be my number two offensive line. You'd have two Hall of Famers and Zach Martin, Tyron Smith. You got Tyler Smith was a rookie last year. He showed out. Yes, he had too many penalties, but overall he was a great player as far as what was he taken 24th overall. So yeah, I just see him being great. And then Trent Williams um, for the Niners. Yes, he's a Hall of Famer. He's great. One of the best offensive linemen in the league. But after that, the O line for the 49ers really falls off. So um, I am going to rank the 49ers as third, and we're going to go into the DN group. So the DN group is a very interesting because it's another one kind of like the wide receiver group where it's all of these teams have guys. It's just dependent on what you think of their guys. So with the Cowboys, you're a Cowboys fan. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you got Michael Parsons, you got Demarcus Lawrence, you've got Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, Armstrong, just those guys as a collection have shown a lot, or they are on the cusp of getting in more and getting more reps. So they're up there as far as D end, um, rooms. These three teams might have some of the deepest rooms in the NFL. Going to the 49ers here, you can just see what they have. Drake Jackson, Nick Bosa, Cleveland Farrell, who was a first round pick with the Raiders a couple years ago. Kerry Hyde Jr., he used to play for the Lions, I believe. And then, yeah, so they've got some guys as well. And then you go to the Eagles, and we have got Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett, Jamarius Russell, and then you throw in their other guys like Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith. I mean, you're talking about a super stout, really clean room as far as DNs go. So I actually am going to give the nod to the Philadelphia Eagles right there. Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith was the guy I was super high on in the draft process. He has that elite speed, bend around the edge. Um, then Brandon Graham, his stats speak for himself. You got Sweat, who was the beneficiary of an interception from Dak last year. Um, Derek Barnett does need to show more. Just needs to be, yeah, he just needs to show more point blank. Period. Um, so I will give the Eagles the slight edge because I really do think the Cowboys are right there as far as depth and everything else. If I'm ranking strictly pass rushers, their top guys, Eagles will be third. I think that Nick Bosa and Michael Parsons are clearly better players overall at a pass rush standpoint, but we're ranking entire rooms here. So I am going to go Eagles number one, Dallas number two, and the Niners three. Um, yeah. So going on to that defensive tackle. Now, this is weird because last year Javon Hargrave played for the Eagles. Now he goes to the Niners. Um, Now, with that being said, the Niners did lose their defensive coordinator, who was very good. But let's just check really quick. So Javon Hargrave, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, who needs to come on a little bit more, but you're talking about a top three that's probably one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. As far as for the Eagles, you got Jordan Davis, their first round pick from 2 years ago, or yeah, 2 years ago now. Um, then you got Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter, their another first round pick from this year. Milton Williams, who got added during the trade deadline, I believe, last year. So yeah, super solid top four. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Niners because I like their starters better right now. Eagles, and then Cowboys. I mean, you're talking about the Cowboys. Yes, they have Osa. Yes, they spent the first round pick on Mozzie. Yes, they have Hankins, Gallimore, and then Bohana. But did any of those guys really pop off the page and really make you feel excited? Yes, Mozzie is exciting, but we haven't seen him play yet. So I'm going to go with that as far as um, the rankings there. Linebacker group. So here's where I was struggling with. Do you keep Micah in the linebacker group or do you play him at the D end? For me, I put him at D end. I do think that Mike is going to be playing a lot more D end Dan Quinn is leading on, but only time will tell. So right here we got for the Niners, just to make sure. Obviously, you got your boy Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Robert Beal Jr., Curtis Robinson. Solid little group. Obviously, Fred Warner carries that load. Then for the Eagles, Nicholas Morrow, who was a solid pickup this offseason, I won't lie. N'Kobe Dean, who's yet to really show anything. And then Christian Elias and Sean Bradley. Yeah. So, and then you got the Cowboys, which would be LVE, Damone Clark, um, uh, Jabril Cox, and then Devin Harper, and then if you want to add in Micah there. And then you can kind of sort of add in J-Ron Curse, but not really. So this is mostly for me. I'm going to rank it best player and probably the best true linebacker in the league. Fred Warner is the top clear guy. So I'm going to put the Niners at the one spot, Cowboys at that two spot. I think that Damone Clark's going to come on a lot this next year. Um, or this current year, sorry. And LVE he's been a leader in this room, so I definitely like what I see from LVE. And then we got Morrow and yeah, your boy N'Kobe Dean right there for the Eagles. Cornerback now. Cornerback, I think, is very clear cut as far as who the third team is. It's definitely the Niners. With that being said, pretty close whenever you look at it between the Eagles and the Cowboys. So the Eagles top three: James Bradbury, Darius Slay, and then just to make sure, let's see, but Avante Maddox, probably yes, Darius or Greedy Williams, I guess, yeah. Um, I wasn't very high on Keely Ringo, so definitely don't see him, exploding. And then the Cowboys, you have Diggs, Gilmore, Bland, Lewis, Joseph, Eric Scott Jr., just those guys. So for me, I think the top three is stronger for the Cowboys right now, today. You got two proven first team All Pros and a one time defensive player of the year in Stephon Gilmore. Then, whoops, let me switch that out. Then the Eagles, and then the 49ers. And just to shout out those guys for the Niners, it is Javarius Ward, who is solid for the Chiefs. Um, Lenore, not super high on him. Womack and Isaiah Oliver, who used to play for the Falcons, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, decent group, not great. Safety group. Now, safety group is interesting because with the San Francisco 49ers, you got Hufanga, you got Gibson, and then Jair Brown, which isn't a bad three at all. I mean, Hufanga is probably the best safety on this list right now. For the Eagles, they got Terrell Edmonds, was a pickup this year, I believe. Reed Blankenship, who played decent in stretches for them last year. And then Sidney Brown is another pickup they made, which I liked. Um, I liked that pick. And then the Cowboys, you're talking about Malik Hooker, J-Ron Curse, Donovan Wilson, Israel McQuamu, um, Bell. I mean, those are all super solid players. I think the top three for the Cowboys is too good to pass up. I think then I would put Hufanga and them boys, and then I would put the Eagles. Special teams as a whole. Let me just make sure that the Jake Moody is their place kicker. Really, Jake Moody for the Niners now. Okay, so who do the Eagles? Oh, Elliott. Okay, so let me where did Jake Moody play last year? The Bear? I'm so confused because they had gold last year. Wishnowski, he's a solid punter. Oh, Jake Moody, that's how I know him. It's stupid. Uh, the Michigan kicker. I didn't realize that they picked him up, so that's great. So yeah, I'm high on Moody. I'm high on Wishnowski. I think that they got a good 1-2 as far as kicker, punter. Now punt returner Ray McLeod, decent. Um, look at Jake Elliott. I don't even know how to pronounce that for the punter for the Eagles, and then uh, Britton Covey, and then Boston Scott. So This is hard because the Cowboys still don't have a kicker that I think can kick good, but we have one of the best punters in Brian Anger. We have one of the best kick returners in Cavante Turpin. So I am going to put it as Cowboys one. I mean, we've been one of the best special teams honestly under John Fossil. So Cowboys one, Niners two, Eagles three, and that is the list. So let's add them up. So the Cowboys had one, two, three, four, five. Niners had one, two, three, four, five, and the Eagles only two. Wow. Okay, so the Eagles only had two. And then for the second place finishes, we've got the Eagles at one, two, three, four, five, six. Cowboys at one, two, three, four. Niners at two. Okay, so those are the lists. That's the list. I thought that was a fun little exercise personally. So yeah, so based on that, the Niners were the best overall team, top to bottom. With that being said, they don't have the best quarterback. I think that's pretty obvious, and quarterback is the most important position. They have a super solid coach. I was gonna rank coaches, but I just figured let's just put it all on the players right now. Um, but if I was gonna rank coaches, I'd put Shanahan, McCarthy, and then Sirianni. Anyways, next best camp battles, which I need to pull out my phone. Sorry, I am just all over the place tonight. Let me pull out my phone and read these guys off right here. So first camp battle, Lewis versus Bland. Who gets that cornerback three spot? Lewis is a seasoned veteran now. 1 year left on the deal, so we'll see if that holds any weight for the coaches. Does Al Harris and those guys want to um, put a lot of stock in that? Do they want to roll with the young guy that they have more time to groom and allow to grow in their system? It's going to be a fun battle. I'm looking forward to it. And with how the NFL has transitioned, those dime packages, those nickel packages, they're super popular in today's league because it's a pass heavy league. So you need a third corner, and don't be sleeping on this battle when it comes time. The second battle was let me get it off of power saving mode so it doesn't close on me. Sam Williams versus the tackles. Now, typically when you think of camp battles, you're thinking about a battle for a certain position. I'm thinking, how does Sam Williams stand out against these tackles? You got Terrence Steele, you got Tyron Smith, you got Tyler Smith. Is he making plays? Is he consistently getting pressure? These are all things that we need to look forward to if we want to see Sam Williams on the field more, if he's going to have a bigger role in this defense. So I think that he is. I think that I think that he's primed for a better season, a more consistent season, and a season where he can really take over as the possible replacement for D Law later down the road, which is fun. It's just yeah, I love player development, and that's one of the things that I really focus on with my channel. Gallimore versus Bohana. Who's gonna get that D tackle four position? Because the first three, I think, to me, are solidified with Hankins, Mozzie, and Osa. So I think that we're only going to carry four defensive tackles. Bohana's kind of become just a big space waster, space eater, which isn't bad. Like you want that on your team, but when you only play them so many downs on defense each game, can you find that somewhere else with a Mozzie, with a Hankins that can do the same role, but you can get more out of it? Excuse me, out of them in the pass rush department. Um, so we'll see. I think that Bohana's probably going to be cut, but Gallimore has to prove it too. I mean, you're talking about a player who's in his fifth year now, I think, maybe fourth year now, um, out of Oklahoma, and ultimately he hasn't flashed for the entire season. He's flashed in instances. Don't get me wrong, and that's still more than Bohana has done, but I just got to see more out of him on a consistent basis. The next one would just be Rojo versus Malik Davis versus Deuce Vaughn. Like, who, and specifically leave off Deuce Vaughn because I think he is going to make the team, but who specifically is going to get that running back 2 position? Malik, you're talking about a player that has some speed, has some craftiness to his game, but just hasn't got the chance. Then you're talking about Rojo, who's a veteran, but he's still a young veteran. He still has a lot of tread left on his tires, and he has juice. He has the ability to really make something out of this situation here because the Cowboys, we don't really know if TP is going to be completely ready and there at the start of the season. So if you hand the keys to Rojo and really allow him to do what he's done with Tampa Bay in the past, with the Chiefs in the past, not so much the Chiefs, um, but just allow him to get those opportunities. I think that he can do some good things, and I'm interested to see what Rojo can do. Um, Joseph versus Eric Scott versus CJ Goodwin. So I think that all of the roads for these 3 corners to get on the team has to be through special teams. Eric Scott was the 6th round pick for the Cowboys this year, if you don't know. Um, a player that didn't have the 40 time that he needed, but he was injured. So he fell down some draft boards. He also came from a small school. A player that whenever I did my film analysis on him, he was good with the ball in front of him. He saw things good. He could get out of his break fast and drive on balls, make pass defenses, stuff like that. So I liked what I saw from him. Now, as far as cornerback skills, didn't always get his head around. Sometimes could get a little bit lost out there if he was trying to mirror the receiver. Um, it's just things that you have the tools to build upon. It's you just got to get there. But Joseph last year, pretty solid special teamer, really. Then you take CJ Goodwin, which was your special teams ace for so many years. Who do you leave off the team? I think that the Cowboys covet their draft picks. They don't want to let anybody else get their guys and mold them, develop them for free. So I think that Eric Scott is on this team. So it's really just that Joseph versus Goodwin discussion. Ultimately, I think that Goodwin is not going to be on the team. I think that they're going to elect to go with the guy that they spent a 2nd round pick on with Kelvin Joseph. But hey, let's let training camp play out and we will see. The next one I had was the kicker. Who is the kicker? Is he even on the roster right now? Is it Tristan Vicino or whatever his name is? I'm not super confident in Tristan, but I just want to see a competition. Bring another guy in. Let's compete. If Tristan is good enough and he's doing the things necessary, go ahead and let him do it. Um, but yeah, just want to see a little bit more competition. Overshown versus Jabril Cox for that LB3-4 spot. We'll see. Do they put the keys into the rookie's hands right away? Do they let him fail on the field, or do they see this season is so pivotal that they have to go with a guy with a little bit more experience? Albeit not as much as you'd like with Jabril Cox, but he's at least seen NFL level competition and speed and all of those things. So those are the camp battles you guys should be looking for. If you have another one in mind, go ahead and drop that in the comments below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get in on these tweets. So let's pull this one up. All right. I'll just read this from you guys. This is from John Machota. Cowboys DC Dan Quinn on Mike McCarthy going back to calling plays. It's really cool to see Mike in that role. It looks, from my opinion, like he's having a blast. Sometimes as a head coach, when you're not the play caller, you are yearning for it. I've seen that with him, the energy he has for it. He sets the whole menu and the table for us like we're having a good off season. But for him specifically, I've felt some happiness and some joy for him going out there, and you can see his competitive juices going. We'll have some good battles at training camp. I've coached against Mike for a long time. He's one of the very best. Hopefully, we have a lot of fun out there in California. So, Dan Quinn I think he said everything right right here. Let me get this off the screen. Sorry. I think he said everything right there. Mike McCarthy is going to be calling the plays for the Cowboys. Now, as a defensive coordinator, you've got to be kind of excited that your head coach is going to be the guy not only making the calls on, hey, we should go for it on 4th down, we should do this, but he doesn't have to pass this off. He doesn't have to delegate this anymore. He's going to be calling the plays. He knows exactly what he needs to do to get the 1st down, to get his offense clicking, so it's less pressure on the defense. And he has with him calling the plays, he has less things where he has to think about as far as just trying to call timeouts because he's in the flow of the game. So I think it's exactly what Dan Quinn is saying here. You know, it's just exciting to see his competitiveness come back out, just being wanting to win more. Not to say that he didn't want to win because this is a job. I'm just saying that when you're in the flow of the game, it's different. Um, so yeah, for that type of stuff, I'm excited to see it. The second tweet that I wanted to bring up right here was from Kelly K9. Dak averaged 6 rushing TDs his first 3 seasons, then 3 the next 2 years, and then the number dropped to 1 touchdown in each of the last 2 seasons. Dak has always been a pure passer, but his ability to tuck it and take off is very underrated. And while we don't need a running back under center, that dynamic to an offense cannot be denied. Hope to see more mobile Dak in 2023. Now, why I wanted to bring this tweet up. First of all, shout out Kelly. But second of all, he's got a great point here. I said before the playoffs started, I said Dak is struggling seeing the field right now, seeing everything in the flow that he needs to see it. He maybe it was in the back of his head that if I let this loose, it could result in an interception. Um, Now, with that being said, you look at you keep it in the back of your head like, hey, I have legs, I can still run this. It's not always me with the ball, I have to throw it, I have to stay in the pocket, I have to roll out, and then I have to throw it. No, Dak, you have legs, you can use them. And I thought that the Tampa Bay game, that's exactly what he did. He did it to perfection. He was able to really show what he had as far as that ability still in his game to this day. Now, when it came to the 49ers game, I don't know what they saw in film analysis, but they saw something where they just said, we're going to press up on the lines. We know where the line to gain is, and we're going to force them to go up over the top against our safeties or throw it and make a play. Throw it short of the sticks and make a play. And you factor in if Dak would have ran it more and had that in the linebackers' heads or had that in the defensive ends' heads that, oh, this guy can tuck it and he can run and he can break our contain and he can pick up some yards, because you're not going to go broke if you're taking gains. If Dak utilized that more, I really truthfully think that we would have beat the 49ers. So like K9 is saying right here, we want to see this in 2023 from Dak, not because we want a running back under center, but because it adds another dynamic for the defense to have to worry about. These are the things that so many offensive coordinators are scared about because, oh, it only takes one play for your quarterback to go down. Last year, Dak got hurt throwing inside of the pocket with a collapsing pocket around him. So having a mobile quarterback that can run outside of the pocket and escape stuff, that's a good thing. And not only is that a good thing, but that allows you to open up your playbook even further. So I really hope that McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, Dak even gets in the room and says, listen, we can implement some of this stuff we've done in the past, back when we had his name is escaping me. But that rookie season, the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, he added in some things from college for Dak that helped him get in the groove of things, and that's one thing I did appreciate about him. So yeah, I just think that you add in those things and you allow Dak to get comfortable, you're gonna see a better side of Dak every single time he's on the field. Um, and yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Um, I didn't really plan too much out, and I apologize for that. It is going to get a little bit more structured in further videos down the road. But if you like anything you heard today, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Subscribe to my channel. I will be doing some lives soon, and I'm just excited to interact with you guys. Also, down there to the right of your screen is my Twitter. Go ahead and follow that, because I'm always going to be dropping content, especially when draft season rolls back around. I'm going to be doing a lot of film analysis, a lot of player breakdowns, and yeah, just pushing out some content for you guys. So yeah, I just appreciate you guys for tuning into the video, and with that, I'll see you next time.